And as always, if you begin to count yourself lucky, it also means that you will become one of those people after we do the draws to win those big tickets into your mobile money account. So a lot of money to share around. And we want to make sure that we're able to cash out just within big issues or after big issues. So star 439#, increase the number of stakes as many times as you can. Well, Rich is Kokoti. It's been a while. I hope you're well. I wish you a good and a pleasant week as it is. And then also Chairman Godwin Tamaklo, the rest of the team at Rate Group, and then also Chairman Prosper. Wish you all this, all the things that we can ever think about. Great tidings, but we're here. Great discussion so far on the key points hosted by Alfred Nene Okanse. It was very instrumental that the issues have now been well outlined. The special prosecutor from the last week making that announcement, the former finance minister who is now domiciled or has traveled to the United States of America, and following those publicly circulated letters on medical grounds, seeking medical treatment, and he being tagged as a fugitive, and then a number of issues that have now become important issues leading to great scandals that had been discussed over the last 2-3 years in Ghana. Following PDS, we have not only the recent one being the National Service scandal, but also those payments and politically exposed persons, conflict of interest issues when it came to the $58 million plus expenditure on the National Cathedral, the SML scandal. It could be the boss issues as well. We have a lot of things to talk about. Now, the question then is, where do we think the government of John Dramani Mahama needs to proceed with these very subjects? Now, as we revisit PDS, SML, and then also the National Cathedral and all there are, what sorts of actions, as members of the public, do you want the president to take on these? So we have lined up some great intellectuals and great people, not only politically exposed, but also private citizens who are doing so well in their own rights. Political strategist is also a lecturer. Dr. Bernard Tutu Boahi is right here. Good morning to you. I hope that you had a great weekend. Yes. Did you celebrate Valentine's Day? At this age, do you still do?
I'm not a fan.
You're not a fan. Yeah. All right, and then Wanda Madilo is also a strategic management person, expert as well. He's also an entrepreneur. He's a development analyst. He's also joining us this morning. Good morning, Wanda Madilo.
That's a very good morning.
Great. No, I won't ask you about Valentine because I know you didn't celebrate. I'll just look at your face. No celebration there. And then my man over the last 12 months has been Solomon Owusu. He is an entrepreneur. In our local parlance, in our homes, we call him businessman. So he's a businessman. Thank you for joining us. He's also with the Movement for Change. Great revelation so far. But on the second subject, we have a spillover of the Baku conflict over the last week or two. It is now a known fact that excessive attacks on individuals on the Wale Wale to Baku stretch has raised a lot of eyebrows. So from Wale Wale, you go to Posiga, Zabila, Garu. We have that enclave, Baku itself. I know those areas very well. Ketsi, Dr. Salifu Combat of the Baku Presbyterian Hospital. I know those areas very well. We should be concerned. There's a curfew currently in place. Key stakeholders are saying that the attacks happen in the day, so the curfew shouldn't be happening. I don't know what you think about that. We'll be discussing how do we find a solution to this very impasse. But in the meantime, these are the issues that we can deduce so far based on public information. The first, that they did a great investigation, the National Service scandal, and the sums you're talking about, ghost names that have been embedded and paid by the government of Ghana through the Accountant General's Department for several years of individuals who have no stake to be on the payroll, to be collecting stipends from the National Service scheme. Well, ideally, 715 Ghana cedis to be collected monthly. And initial payroll before the head count 180,000 in excess, and then post the head count, 98,000, just meaning that suspected ghost names range in the numbers in excess or more than 81,000. So 715 Ghana cedis, you multiply by, let's go back to that same meeting, 81,000. Just think about it. Just do the calculation for me. 715 times 81,000. That's a rough figure. So the suspects, if they're found guilty, based on the investigation so far, well, as indicated, diverts 715 Ghana cedis multiplied by over 81,000 people into various accounts. I mean, just roughly. We have varied figures coming in and out, but just think about this. So millions of Ghana cedis that are paid. Very good. Very good. Just a rough calculation. I know that there are some figures that 58 million. 58 million. Hey. But it's not only this we're about to discuss. We'll also take you to the issues of the National Cathedral. You know that during the motion for the censure of the former finance minister, who also is at the center of this very discussion when it comes to all the things that have been said, he being declared a fugitive by the special prosecutor, had appeared before Parliament. So we'll take you there. And then the PDS scandal has also happened. The privatization of our own electricity company. And 500 million still accounted for. Already we're told that under declaration so far, based on audited reports indicating that certain individuals within the chain, whether it's through the Ministry of Finance, Electricity Company of Ghana, yes, well, we'll take you to the issues there are. When we're ready, we'll play that as well. But so far, Wanda Madilo, where should we be taking this issue? It looks like the public wants heads to roll. Yeah. But you just observing from the corridors of power, how quickly should these heads roll? Shouldn't it be after thorough investigations? Wanda Madilo.
Well, I think the thorough investigations is what has, just begun. If you see the post-train of the OSP on this matter, you will get the feeling and understanding that he wants to go the full haul in resolving this issue. Sincerely, if you recall, this election was won partially on corruption allegations. And people saw that the government was corrupt. People saw that the government was inept. People saw that their lives were getting worsened off. And the economic, livelihoods of the people was getting bad. I mean, we are all privy to that. And if you look at the economic indicators, they were not any good, other than what was promised us by, the outgone government. So, indeed, there's some level of urgency for these issues to be resolved. In any case, if you take a case to court and you stay in court for too long, what happens is that, some inertia comes in, people are tired, people are no longer excited about, the information that is required for some of these issues to be prosecuted. They say justice delayed is virtually like justice denied. And so for us, we believe that it would help the government for the goodwill that we're enjoying right now to proceed as quickly as possible. However, we would have to take note of what is required, the investigative, powers that the police and the OSP has in resolving these issues. Indeed, Ghanaians are waiting to see how these issues pan out. You see, in the Fourth Republic, we have always had this business of, making allegations against each other, and then at the end of the day, nothing happens. I don't think Ghanaians have any longer, they are any longer patient to hear the rhetorics about somebody is corrupt, I'll jail you, I'll put you behind bars, I'm going to go after you. And then after 8 years, we are back to the same, stories about, it is the court and the case was in court, we started it and all that. Some level of urgency is required. In fact, the donor partners we have, our development partners, are also wishing and ready to see what's going to happen. For instance, if you are wasting so much money in the area of just NSS, you're talking about 58 million Ghana cedis monthly. That's not even for the year. Monthly, and this has been going on for who knows, how long. I think that it will require a certain level of urgency. We have seen this before. Under His Excellency John Mahama's first tenure, Some people went to jail outside of this, out of this same NSS scandal, to the point that we went as far as no longer paying people on tabletops in order to take ghost names out of the payroll of the NSS. How we've gotten back to this stage again is worrying, and I think that these are issues that should be investigated. I personally do have some relationship with those who were at the NSS. They are friends. I mean, they are colleagues. We are all young people.
Some of your friends are in the thick of these allegations. Is that what you're saying? What are you saying?
Hold on. I'm saying that I know them. I mean, they are friends. I mean, these are people I went to school with. I know them personally. And I didn't think that they would sit or preside over such, corrupt attitude. I thought that...
Which of them do you know, Wanda Madilo, so that the audience will take you for your word?
No, I know all of them. Okay. I mean, that's for...
Is it because they cut across the political landscape?
I mean, we are young people. We grew up together, went to school together. Some of them were nooks. I was a
Just wanted to clarify, so that maybe if you benefited from some of the proceeds...
How will I have benefited? I'm just disappointed. Well, that's what I mean. The extent of my anger is the disappointment that young people like us who were given opportunity to serve in government. And the repulsion people have in appointing young people. But to have been given this opportunity, and then now we see that there's so much corruption around that matter, to the extent that it's going to be investigated and people may pay dearly for it, I think that is worrying. And that it blurs out the chances of other young people who should be given opportunity to serve in government or in any leadership role. And that's where I'm concerned that this issue has to be investigated as quickly as possible. And we need to get to the bottom of some of these issues. Now, what is worrying, and for me, what is worrying personally is that if you look at the PDS scandal, the SML scandal, and then now NSS, the SML and the PDS, look like twin brothers. It talks about revenue assurance. And you see...
The PDS and the SML. And this SML scandal, they look like
twin brothers. Why do they look like twin brothers? That? When the MPP came to government, one of the things they tried to do very smartly, and which every corrupt government does, is what we call revenue assurance, where we're already making some revenue, and then you come and tell us that, we are not making enough. We can bring in a body that can bring in more revenue. And so they bring in some, shady deal and then give it out as a concession. That company comes in, rakes in all the revenue, and we don't even see. We can't even account for it. And that is happening even at the local government levels. You see many of the agencies that are raising funds for the local government and district assemblies, you see that many of them are just very shady. Those who collect the tickets on the road, they have been given out to private individuals. You see those who, the Japa deal again is also about revenue assurance. SML is about revenue assurance. PDS is about revenue assurance. Almost all the shady deals that have come through have always come through.
So you're saying they're deliberately concocted and cooked?
Yes, cooked. I mean, it's cooked before it happens. They know how much revenue we are making, and yet they come and paint the figure as though it's so bad, and so we need a concessionaire, we need a private individual, we need a revenue collector. The revenue collector comes in, brings in no investment, brings in nothing, they give it to you as a concession, just come and manage.
Free money?
Yeah, free money. And in that deal, in that PDS deal, we lost $190 million from the US Millennium Compact because of these shady deals. The scandals were just too much. So today, PDS has not been able to account to government how much revenue has been collected within that period, how much was their part of the bargain, and we're just in a fix. So I think that these are things that have to be investigated as quickly as possible. We need to put an end to this matter. As people are worried that the finance minister, ex-finance minister, has been declared a fugitive, and I'm wondering how they got to that level. Is it because the finance minister former finance minister is above the law and therefore cannot be brought to book? We saw how even Sedinam was declared a fugitive way before his what's the name? His trial went on. The trial went on even in absentia. Even after that, this same Godfrey Dami or whatever they call it, Dami you call them, or you call him
Godfrey Dami,
not Odami. Godfrey Dami, for instance, told that as they're having all the processes to bring Sedinam back and all that. Today, all of a sudden, when it hits you hard, you say, it's bad, we are putting governments in a bad light and all that. You mean the Western world, that our development partners are excited that we are that corrupt, and so we shouldn't declare one of our own wanted. These are the worrying trends that we think has to stop. And John Dramani Mahama has the best opportunity to put an end to this wanton corruption in government, wanton corruption in public services, wanton corruption in government, dealings. Because politicians are greedy and want to make money at all points, at all deals, and all that. I think that is where we have gotten to, and there's some urgency is required in resolving some of these.
Dr. Tutubuahi, where we are you find that it looks like the public seem to have a lot of patience and just some little time for the government to take action. But you also get to know that you go into detail about these investigations that have been undertaken. At least they should have been unearthed in real time. If really the audit processes and verification processes were working at the time that these crimes or supposed or alleged crimes were committed.
Roland, let me say good morning to our viewers and good morning to us all. I think that, you see, this issue about corruption, last week I stated it, that I don't see why a public official is arraigned before courts for alleged corruption, and the court will hold it close to 8 years. You know, is it because of cases of no evidence, or because probably there are enough evidence, but you know there's some form of inertia in trying to prosecute the case or all that? Again, is it because of political protections, where you know it's like watch my back, I watch your back, all right? Or another campaign that is meant to throw dust into our eyes or the eyes of the public. For me, as my brother stated, I mean, it's something that is quite disappointing from the angles of politicians, from the angles of the judiciary, and even the public in general. I mean, if the question that we ask about patience and impatience is anything that we can draw on, then of course I think that Ghanaians are not hungry enough, you know, to fight corruption, all right? Because our involvement, you know, our expression or our attitude towards the fight towards corruption is so low. In this country, people get rich overnight and nobody questions it. I mean, you see people engaging in certain behaviors and you are not even willing to give information. And even, how do you call it, the investigative institutions, what is their level of commitment to all these things? I mean, check the amount of money that we lose through corruption yearly. You see, somewhere in 2017, it was reported that about $3 billion, you know, go into corruption. And the question is that how do we go for an IMF facility of 3 billion whilst we are losing 3 billion? It doesn't make sense. All right. So I think that there should be that kind of conscious efforts, you know, to deal with it. If what the name Wanda said, you know, is anything to go by, you see, the confidence that various governments are imposing in young people should be something that they can take advantage of. And as it were, if they are hungry enough, because you see, corruption, one of the effects of corruption is on the lives of young people directly, all right, because it creates unemployment, one of them. And in this country, we know that unemployment is very high and young people are suffering. This morning, TNUST has admitted 50,000 students. In 4 years' time,
50,000.
50,000. They'll be graduating. All right. This year, you know, the recent graduation that, you know, University of Ghana is engaging in, they are going to churn out over 60,000 graduates
into the job market.
Into the job market.
First, they have to go through service.
You understand? But even if, you know, they are willing to do service, because I think that the previous government indicated that, you know, national service is not compulsory after all, if my memory serves me right.
It was a proposal
that was sent. Okay, yeah. All right. So let's hold that one constant. But again, let's assume that in the next 1 year they'll be doing national service. The following year there will be job hunts. What is going to happen? Can we get that 60 million, assuming that other universities they didn't churn out, you know, that number? All right. Now, this 3 billion that is lost every year through corruption, if it is a tangible money, can't we invest it, to create jobs for young people in this country? Can't we empower them through entrepreneurial trainings for them to be resourceful and to create jobs for their fellows, to engage in? All right. These are some of the things that, we need to know that, look, as young people, we cannot sit down unconcerned going forward for politicians to make mess of our economy. But then, it has happened in elsewhere, isn't it? And some of these examples, when you cite them, people will tell you that you are instigating the public against politicians. No, that is a reality, okay, where people must understand the damage that corruption is doing to this country and the harm it is causing to young people of this land. Look at the rate at which our young people, are traveling abroad to go and work. Is it because that those countries, they will go and then they'll get decent jobs, or what? Is it not the case that if these people should stay and then contribute their skills, to the development of this country, we will move a step further? It's something that we simply cannot understand. And I think that, it will take the conscious effort of the Ghanaian people, the youth, and the politician, to be able to, deal with some of these issues. And I think that the media has a very important role to play in here. What's the term that they give you? Fourth?
A state of the realm.
Yes.
That's what they say.
That is what they say in the books, right? But I think
it
that
really doesn't work. Nobody bothers about what we do, really. Even though we play a role.
Yes, but I think
we only unearth the corrupt act, and sometimes you find that there's a certain inertia on the part of the duty bearers, that's those in office and in authority who are supposed to undertake
yes,
them.
that one is understandable. But the fact that, you stand in between, the executive and the people, the public, at least do what you are supposed to do. Give us the information, give people the information so that they will know exactly what is actually happening. But I feel to a large extent, that when you check even this national service issue, when you check the PDS issue, the SML issue, and the National Cathedral, even the amount of monies that have been lost in these 4 areas is so huge to do something for us as a country. All right. Look at our stadia. Look at the pitches. Look at some of the roads that we move through. Look at some educational, facilities that we have in this country, and we are losing some of these monies through corruption. I think that it is unacceptable, and people should be up and doing, and we should all be involved in the fight against corruption in this country.
And Solomon, while he wants to put the figures together with just some of these few scandals, the Auditor General's report does indicate, even from the latest and over the last couple of years, indicating over 10 billion is lost, over 11 point something billion was recorded from the last time around, indicating that apart from these scandals, the synergy that they tend to create is that there's a certain liability by individuals who find themselves in the system, whether they are civil servants, and then the political stakeholders also become conduits where they fashion out some of these actions. Now, if citizens are being deprived of these monies because of the laxity of the authorities to take action, then what should be done quickly to make sure that, as we know, these are the points of investigation, they are fastened quickly?
Thank you very much. So the citizens of this country has a very big role, a huge role to play in all this. If citizens are not going to rise up to the occasion, I'm telling you, the political class will shortchange all of us. Just like Wanda just said, we know ourselves, we are all friends. So if you are going to prosecute your friend, it's a very difficult job to do. The citizens rather have to bring pressure to bear.
I don't understand. You mean MPP, NDC, they are just pussyfooting?
Oh, yes.
Is that what you're saying?
They are all friends. They are all in the same kitty. They are all stealing.
Are your enemies?
They are not my enemies, but they are all stealing.
That you guys are all friends?
We are all friends.
So you rob Peter to pay Paul?
Fantastic fandango. Look, what is happening, and here let me say, that when the president on the 7th of January that he was inaugurated, he gave us 4 areas that he was going to tackle head on. Of the 4 areas that he enumerated, only 1 area received applause from the sitting public. That was the issue to deal with accountability, or for that matter, corruption. And so the Ghanaian...
Through oral?
Through oral. So the Ghanaian is very much interested in how well he will be able to recover some of the looted funds and assets of the state. And that is why for instance, I do not believe for a minute that Kissia Jabin has what it takes to handle some of
You mean he doesn't have the powers, or he doesn't have the balls or the guts?
The powers, but
what are you saying,
he has
Solomon
no
Osu?
balls whatsoever. What he has started, he will muddy the waters. He just want to play the role of Konongo Kaya. Do you know Konongo Kaya?
Konongo Kaya, what does it mean?
So that head port, he will not carry the load, but he will also pretend as though he's carrying the load, and so that nobody comes around. And then at the end of the day, just like we expended close to 8 years on cases of former administration, this will also suffer the same fate. And at the end,
so what do you mean? You mean that he had all the powers at the time that the scandals happened and never took action?
This man is not taking any power. He's just whitewashing. It's a scam. It's just nothing he's doing. Look, the NSS, for instance, you had Mustafa Yusuf. He was the former NSS boss, right? Under his watch,
the man who became the sports minister and now the MP.
Yeah, the MP for Yagaba Kabori. Kubori, right? The last time I went to Yagaba Kubori, the people of that area needed a lot of clean drinkable water.
Really?
Very, very well. Their conditions of living wasn't the best. Now he supervised ghost names being pushed at the NSS. And you know, Nana B was also there. I'm trying to drum home why people are beginning to organize press conferences in this country, and people must take note.
So Yusuf,
Nana B,
allegedly, they were there.
They were there.
Okay. You are not impugning anything.
I am just making a statement that under their watch, we had ghosted. If anything, if what Fortest it has said is anything to go by. Now, when ghost names were pushed there, this man was removed from the NSS, and where was he sent? In fact, he was elevated to where? The Ministry of Youth and Sports. This was the national service that received massive praise. In fact, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, anywhere he had an opportunity to campaign, he told us that we must follow the example of the national service.
Because
they have digitalized. I told you this digitalization nonsense.
That they use an electronic system to...
They said metric app, and that metric app had the potential of preventing double registration, people who were not...
Remember, yeah.
You remember that issue?
Yeah.
So how come we had all these ghost names? It was a facade. It was a scam, pure one as such. There was nothing that was happening there. They had just put there a system just to siphon from the state, and that was what we were treated to. And I'm very surprised that he went to Harvard and was still making reference to the fact that they installed digitalization and it has prevented what ghost names. When we are faced with the reality of having ghost names in our system, amounting to several hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. We have just been told that the USAID is withdrawing its services. That's not the case, and the total amount that they are withdrawing in the health sector is in the region of $158 million. Just do a computation, just between 2017 to date, how much we have lost only at the national service. And it will tell you that we don't need any aid. Yes, the president was right, the former president Nanado, that Ghana beyond aid, because we have all the resources here. Yet the money is here. The money is here, but it's not getting to the system because politicians, criminal ones as such, they are put there, and all that they do is that yenchendi, they go and share. Yenchendi. And so they have gotten away.
You mean what? Create and share?
They create and share. Doche added the loot. I think here I agree with Doche, the former Supreme Court judge, that they loot, they create, share, and loot everything. Now the same national service boss was elevated to be a minister, and he went to the Ministry of what? Youth and Sports. When he went there, his first assignment, he took Ghana to what? Cote d'Ivoire. Just our next door, only some 45 minutes by air. This man went and came back and told us that $3 million is gone. You understand? Go look, all Africa Games, you and I were here. We have discussed this matter here. The same former NSS boss, He looked straight into our faces and told us that they used $50 million.
Yeah.
All African
for
games.
food.
That on watching, when I checked, it was only watching they cook. $50 million.
You cannot be sure that it's only watching.
Ethiopians, they eat watching. Egyptian, all the participating countries, the allies never enjoyed it. They said they didn't want it because they had been sponsored. But this man told us that he has used that. He expended close to $250 million to organize all Africa Games. A country that is struggling, a country that cannot feed its people, a country that needed only $4 million at the Kolebu Union, whatever. What's the name of that unit? That they needed only $4 million Ghana cedis to fix it. Dialysis unit. Thank you very much, Doc. So we are dealing with such characters in our system. And I'm very surprised that the OSP is now telling us that he's doing investigation. Look, this government, John Mahama, if he doesn't know, if he fails to deal with the issue of corruption, I'm telling you, he may run away in the middle of his administration.
He will run away in the middle of... The
Ghanaian is not ready to accept anything. He must know. And all those are signs within his administration that want to aid these people to run away. A typical example is what we have been told by the Kenofurata issue. See what is happening. They want to play football with it. The OSP wants to whitewash Kenofurata by giving a leeway for him to call public sympathy. That, oh, he's being persecuted. Someone that has destroyed several businesses, caused people to go into their early graves, made young ones to be looking at elderly men. And we are talking about what? That I heard the minority leader say, oh, he was traumatized. Are you for real? Minority leader, are you for real? You know the number of people that Kenofurata has traumatized in this country? The businesses that he has destroyed? And you are telling me what? Now, you go to the PDS, Yonchendi, the first time...
Wait. Because as we come to the PDS,
Yes.
there are some key considerations that we need to undertake. I would want us to crave the indulgence to be able to play some of those things.
Play for
First, the former minister appearing before a parliamentary committee on the vote of censure, or that motion that was before Parliament, and subsequently, the audios that had been flying around, of course, subsequently, we also had Gabriel Ochedakum come to deny many of them as well. So we'll box all together. Then you have them. Then we'll come back. First, on Cathedral, 58 million, where and the authority he got to be able to spend that, and subsequently also all those audios that had been flying around. DJ Danko had played a number of them, that's Kevin Taylor, for all that. But we'll have that, and then we'll come back on this PDF subject. So,
Mr. Co-Chair, that took me for a loop since I did not know what the President's Cathedral was. Honorable Co-Chairs, let me first submit that I'm uncomfortable about the formulation of this ground. It presupposes that Parliament is assuming the jurisdiction to enforce and or interpret a provision of the Constitution against the combined effect of Articles 2(1) and 131, which grants the sole and exclusive power to the Supreme Court. Nonetheless, I say with both humility and confidence that I have not breached the Constitution in making payments to support the construction of the National Cathedral of Ghana.
Mr. Minister, Mr. Co-Chairman, clarify that I don't quite comprehend the point you make. The committee seems to be assuming what constitutional, assuming constitutional positions that you don't believe we're entitled to. There is an allegation that some monies have been withdrawn from the Constitution, from the Consolidated Fund. The point made by the proponents is that they believe that those monies were withdrawn unconstitutionally. We are not here to interpret any constitution, just simply asking you to respond to that allegation. Whether it is true or not, we have no clue. So if you challenge the constitutionality of it, let's hear your grounds in respect of that.
Mr. Co-Chair, let me then proceed to really talk about exactly what you have.
You may well do.
Honorable Co-Chairs, 3 days ago, when the proponents were here, they alleged I had made payments from the contingency fund to support the National Cathedral. I want to state that this is just not true. Let me be categorical. I have taken no money from the contingency fund to make payments for the National Cathedral.
As to why you were unable to come down to Ghana. And then the second one is that you either have to also provide us with a tentative date. So for instance, we wrote to you and you said, okay, I'm on a medical leave and that I will be back in April. By the end of April, okay. No excuse would have been satisfied with that. But if you leave it blank, as if it will rain, it will not rain. It means when I'm done with it, then I will come. When are you done with it? You yourself, you don't know. So,
and so that's where we are now. PDS also comes in and all that, and so answers have to be given.
So let me even deal with the National Cathedral, and I'm happy you played this insert. You know, on this occasion, the finance minister told the entire country that he was sorry to have destroyed our lives. Someone, he said it in his opening statement, that he was saying that he was sorry because he knew he had destroyed businesses. Now he's being held for his deeds. You took money without authorization. You were only using semantics to say, oh.
Well, so you took it from the contingency pool, not contingency.
And what's the difference? It's not money. It's not Ghana money. He should have been put right there. You understand? But we allowed him to do whatever pleased him because he was the I am dealing with the president.
I am.
Of course, nobody could touch him. That's why more than 80 MPs that said he should be sacked, they were not successful because he was the president of the day. You got my point. Now you come to PDS. The first time a state and national asset, big as such, was given out for what we call work and pay. Do you know work and pay? Do you know what is work and pay? That a whole national asset, we just give it to private people, cronies within the president family, and all that they did was...
you mean the privatization?
Yes, the PDS. They never invested a dime, not even a cent. What they did, even the $12.25 million that they paid to Car Bank for guarantees, they used money generated as ECG to go and pay. We brought a company from Filipino. Look at the distance from Ghana to Philippines. So wide, almost 12,000 kilometers. We brought a company called Miracle. They did not invest a dime. A company from Angola, Energia, Essie. They didn't invest a dime, yet they were having 19% in your ECG. Miracle from Filipino that did not invest a dime was having 30%. Now the 51% that was supposed to be Ghana companies, listen to the names: TJ Energy Limited, Santa Limited, Adisco Boys, your name prevailed there. You are talking about a company called TBK and so on and so forth. None of them invested even a dime. It means the company called ECG was that profitable. But you know what? The past administration wanted to take over the power sector.
And these need to be thoroughly investigated?
That's why I don't trust this OSP. He has been around. These matters have been around. Is it now that he's telling us that he wants to start something? If this NDC administration will sit aloof for him to run them around, I'm telling you, by next year, the fire that will come, they may not be able to.
I don't understand that. He had been around during the period when these scandals were perpetrated.
He's going to sugarcoat it. Forget about him.
Okay.
Forget about him.
Now, Wonder.
So I agree with him, 100%.
You agree with him on which of the parts?
To the extent that the OSP is a bit late in the day. Now, why am I saying this? First of all, let's also understand the environment under which the OSP worked. You know, we have had an OSP before in almighty Martin Amidu, who was hounded out of office. And then this one came. They actually attempted hounding him out of office. If you remember all the press conferences that were done, the threat on his life, he has to come and, on the OSP's life and all that.
Who? Martin Amidu or this one?
No, this new one, the Kise Jabin.
And the one that you said he was just a hawk also.
Exactly. You saw his demeanor in that press conference. So I feel that, we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. He didn't have the right political environment to prosecute some of those things. And indeed, we have to be clear. Sometimes, you know, to be able to achieve a lot, you need the backing of the political, you know, environment, which is the presidency or the executive, or, you know, even the blessing of the legislature to do some of this, including the judiciary. So indeed, I want to understand that he didn't have the environment to do all that he's doing right now. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. If that happens again, you can be sure the NDC itself as a party in government has taken up some of these things to do. Not really about the OSP, not really about any other arm of government, but the government itself. Some of the promises we made in our manifesto coming into government is to prosecute some of these issues. And then they are stated clearly. PDS is right in there. You will see SML right in there. National Cathedral is right in there. And if you even see the work of the oral beginning of our government, you will see that the traces of some of these things are right in there. So indeed, government is not going to sleep on this horse. It's not going to watch this thing go down. We know the consequence of not investigating some of these things. We know the consequence of not prosecuting some of these things. So indeed, he has the full backing of the Attorney General. He has the full backing of the government in place. He also has the full backing of the president in
So he's just operating based on the powers and the authority that the act that establishes him.
He has absolute blessing of the government to go ahead after anybody who has misappropriated our funds, who has led this country to the doldrums or to where we are right now. I can tell you for a fact that nobody will be shielded, including people who are in our own government. If indeed there's any scandal right now, you can be sure. And you can be sure, I put my own belief on the line, that you can be sure that that person will pay for it. It didn't even start today. You've forgotten that under our tenure, and in the same, you know, national service, somebody went to jail because of that. So please, let it be clear that the NDC government, as it is now, is very committed to resolving some of these issues, and we will do that. We are not looking at faces, and we're not watching any of these things go under, you know, uninvestigated. It would certainly be investigated, and people will be prosecuted for that matter.
If you take a recall at what Sami Dakon said, the boss in charge of strategy